for the Fantasy Feud.
Let's go! Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Fantasy Feud. I'm your host, Marco Balsamo. With me today, we got Joey Zoll. Joey, how's it going?
Hey, guys. Yeah, it's going very good. Thanks for asking. Just about to introduce Josh.
Great intro. And we've got Alex here in some capacity. Welcome back, Alex.
Thank you. Making a little bit of return. Good news, I'm going to live. Bad news, it feels like I'm being stabbed in the chest every time I take a breath. So, we move on, though. The show must go on.
Nobody
even knows what he's
Wait,
how he's hurt. There's
what?
no context whatsoever, but sure, we move on. And joining us today, special guest appearance, our buddy Josh Kimmel from Once Upon a Sunday Fantasy Football Podcast. Josh, how's it going?
What's going on, man? I feel so special. I've never been announced special guest anywhere. Just like normal guest.
It's kind of like
Very,
the vernacular.
very
It's just
special
not,
guest.
it's not. Don't take it personally. You are not special to us in any capacity. But we're glad to have you on the show.
Come on.
I mean, you guys
fine.
couldn't get
Josh
Davey
is
or
special.
Dave.
Yeah, we tried getting all the other hosts from OUS first, and we settled on Josh.
You probably called up Gerald, like, hey, can you do the show today? Nope.
All right, today we are going through false narratives for everybody. Before we get into that, guys, I know me, Joey, and Josh each brought a false narrative that we want to dispute in the fantasy world right now.
Not Alex,
But before we
though.
get into that, not
Alex is
Alex, because
here
Alex
for the
is in
fun.
some kind of pain,
Dealing with a rib
some kind of
problem, right?
ambiguous pain where he might be
Wait,
dying.
let's go. Alex, let's expand on that. We want to hear about the pain.
Elaborate.
All right. Well, I think I have a broken rib, or maybe it's just a bruised rib, and I am being very dramatic.
What's
but
the
every time I
backstory?
take a
How
breath,
did it happen?
So I recently took up golfing, and I believe that's where it came from. The twisting motion. That's what the doctors believe. I'm gonna live though, like I said, and we move on. That's all.
Alex,
We do move on for sure.
how'd you get into golfing?
I tried to pick up a new hobby.
What made
started
you
going
think to
down
pick
this
up a
road.
new hobby?
We're going down this rabbit hole.
I was
really?
bored.
Yeah, we're
Can we-
there.
can we
Just
recently-
how far we can go before you
I was-
stop.
Joey.
We move on. Alex
Joey,
said. All right,
I wasn't
move on.
done. Ugh, I was gonna get into my life story.
Wait,
Fine,
just
guys.
okay.
Listen.
Now I've asked him. He's got to finish.
Hold on. We
Well,
need to talk
no.
news
What
because
made
last,
you feel like
last
you need to
recording,
get a new hobby? Are you depressed?
Joey, shut up.
No.
Last recording,
Dude, golf is such an expensive hobby just to pick up. Like, what did you go down to the store and get some Callaways, some used Callaways or something?
fell to the
I would
ground
love to know
with
what
this.
your other options of hobbies you were considering.
That's the good part about having an older brother who golfs. He's got tons of clubs, so it was basically
By this
just
point,
hand-me-downs at this
we've
point.
lost every listener. I mean, it has to. We have
No.
to. By this
Marco
point.
fell
they're
onto
intrigued.
the
If you're
floor.
if you're still with us, God bless you.
He's learning how
we
to
are
live
going to
with
get
a
into
lack of
some
control.
news to start, guys. So the last
Wait, are we
time
doing the fantasy
recorded-
football pod today?
Jesus Christ! All right, the last time that we recorded, we recorded and then released it a couple weeks later. So in between recording and releasing, there was a bunch of fucking fantasy news that we have not covered, including Cam Akers' injury, Michael Thomas's injury, Carson Wentz's injury, and Aaron Rodgers returning to the Packers. So let's just real quick, we don't have time to go through all this in big detail, but Akers' injury obviously hurts.
Lame.
Darrell Henderson, guys, thoughts on Darrell Henderson? Just quick ranking, where you got him in general? Low RB2, high RB2, low RB3?
He's just a guy. He's just a guy.
Yeah, I mean,
Josh
I don't
is
know.
just a
He's
guy.
an option. He's an option.
I-
RB2, I don't know. I mean, if
I'm
he's
going
the
to go
starter-
mid RB2 is where he ends. Mid
If he's
RB2
the
is my...
if he's the starter, he's anywhere from like 10 to 17. If he's, I just don't think he's. I mean, there's nothing telling me that he's the guaranteed starter.
I'll
Like,
just
they'll
say
probably
one
bring
thing
somebody in.
about Henderson. Everything that people were hyping Akers out about, right? Like the system, the carries that he can get, Stafford being in there, all of it. The only thing I had against Akers was that we didn't know if he was going to get the full workload with Henderson there. I don't know who else could even get carries against Henderson. So to me, he's going to have an actual workhorse workload, which makes him a potential RB1 in that
That's
case.
the thing about running back, though. It doesn't. I mean, like, it could be pretty much anybody. If you have the scheme and the O line, it could be pretty much anybody.
It could be Myles Gaskin. It could be Salvon Ahmed. It doesn't matter in Miami, right?
Yeah,
that's true.
Like, guy in there.
It's about the coaching, and it's about.
Yeah.
I mean, to a
if
degree,
we knew
to a
if we knew
degree,
it was
I mean,
him, he'd be an RB1. We just don't know for sure. I agree. All right, Michael Thomas injury. I'll just ask this question: is there anybody you're targeting on the Saints, guys, with Michael Thomas going down?
I think you have to pick up Traquan Smith just to plug in if you need it, but like he's not going to give you crazy numbers. He's just a plug and play guy. Michael Thomas going down, he's really the only option.
Gadgets.
Yeah, they don't have many options. They got to throw the ball sometimes, right? So it's got to go to someone.
There's
You guys aren't on the
Michael
Troutman
Thomas
train? Josh, where are you on the Troutman train?
Fuck Troutman.
I mean, I'm with Alex. Fuck Troutman, but they gotta throw it to somebody.
Yeah,
they really
what a
do,
douchebag
man.
that guy is.
It comes, guys. It comes down to is Jameis playing or not? If
Jameis is gonna
playing,
start.
And I agree. Jameis is going to start,
Yeah.
so you can't like. I'm not on the Troutman train, but like, he's got to throw to somebody, and he's the type who will throw.
Yeah, but why
like
would
crazy.
you not be on the Troutman train if he really is athletic and he's going to have the starting position? Like, and there's nobody else to throw to. Like, I just don't know. Why you wouldn't.
I don't know if
on it.
he's that athletic yet. Like we haven't
What do
seen
you
a
mean?
lot.
Go to Player Profiler. Yeah, but it's like
I
mean,
know he
he's
theoretically is, but my point is we have not seen enough in the NFL for me to be fully in. Now, I definitely see why there's value.
If fantasy football is about taking chances, we got a guy who is near the top of most of where athletically you'd call him athletic. He's going to have the starting position, and it's a tight end heavy offense. So I mean,
I'm with you.
He's perennially undervalued if that's the case.
That's fair.
Well, that's fair, but you said you are not.
I said I'm not on the
Troutman
train. I didn't say I was against the train. I'm just not on it. I'm not the conductor.
I'm not.
I mean, with the way
I'm
tight
following
ends
behind.
shape up, there's no reason not to pick him up. That's for sure.
Dude, he's just like every other tight end, like Alex was saying. If he's not Waller, Pitts, Kelsey, and Kittle, then who cares?
it's whatever.
Who cares?
Yeah, agreed. I like him at his current ADP, but if he shoots up, then we'll see.
I have one more point
all right.
to make. I have one more point
Yes,
about Michael
Joey.
Thomas.
Well, I'd love to hear
This
it.
is a surgery that he was suggested to get right after the season ended, and he gets it in fucking June. Like,
Yeah.
if there's
company
any
time
slant,
injury, company time. But
There
if
we go.
there's
That's
any
my guy.
slant boy stuff gonna be coming out about Michael Thomas and the team being upset about the timing of when he chose to got surgery, I mean, that's something that scares me about Michael Thomas. It's like we've already had problems with the team, and that is a huge selfish move to do.
Well, he's already had
did.
he's already had problems with the team, and just like Alex said, company injury, company surgery, company recovery. Like we all hate our jobs in real life, so I would do the same
But
thing.
like who at your
so
job
true.
hates it and who at your job doesn't hate it, and who you can go to ask for like a help with something and who just doesn't care.
And you judge them accordingly. Yep.
Agreed.
100%.
Agreed. So I
100%.
just think that Michael Thomas is not making any more friends on that team.
Moving on to the Colts in general, because both Carson Wentz and Quentin Nelson getting injuries that are going to be out indefinitely, both of them. So, like, arguably the best lineman in the NFL and their starting QB. Thoughts on Jonathan Taylor's impact here?
Well, I think most of the impact is on Jonathan Taylor. But if anyone listened to us over the 2 or 3 pods we did over the last couple of months, we all said that Jonathan Taylor was more of a dynasty play. So I still love him for dynasty. I would still take him in the first round easily. But this was the problem with taking him so early in redraft, and we said it over and over again. First of all, we all knew Carson Wentz was an injury-prone quarterback. And, I mean, after he goes down, now you're expecting Jacob Eason to run that offense, and that's just not realistic. So we told you so, I guess, if you took Jonathan Taylor in the first round of redraft.
We told you so. I wouldn't-
Victory
I
lap
wouldn't
and an
say this-
injury. Wow.
Yeah, I wouldn't say this was our I told you so. It's honestly, it's kind of the same as Akers. I said I was upset that Akers got hurt because I wanted to be right about Akers. We were all against how high Akers was being drafted. Same goes with Jonathan Taylor now. Now there's an excuse as to why. But I'll just say if he's going as an RB1 even in redraft, it's arguable that he shouldn't be that he should be like RB13 in redraft for sure. So I would stay away.
Yeah, I was talking to Dave Campbell from my OUS Fantasy Pod, And I was like, yeah, he's going to drop to the second round for me. Pretty much. And he's like, no way. He's still a top 6 player, still a top 7 player. I just don't see that happening. I never did see it happening. Just like Alex said, we weren't a big fan of him. I wasn't a big fan of him. I do think I said it today. He's pretty much David Montgomery with new tires on him. He just looks better.
But
right? Am I wrong?
A more offensive-minded head coach too.
Yeah, but now you have this like everything crumbling apart around him, losing his top lineman, losing his QB. It's just I don't understand why I would take him over Joe Mixon.
Do you mind if I get philosophical about it?
Let's go.
I would love it. That's all I want.
So there are 2 quotes that immediately come to my head. One, you're only as strong as your weakest link. And 2, rising tide lifts all boats. So when you look at an offensive line, you think, here is the best option, Quentin Nelson on that offensive line. Probably the best one of the best offensive linemen in the NFL. He goes down. Are you as strong as your weakest link, or does the rising tide lift all boats? So it just depends on which side that you want to quote.
Which quote
in my
you want
head,
to go with?
In my head, you're as strong as your weakest link. I mean, it's probably going to be fine on the O-line. It definitely hurts them, but I don't really think it changes too much. And I think Jonathan Taylor had the risk prior to. I think there's still risk in him because you don't know what his role is going to be. I don't know that it has much of an impact as we think, because I just think that's a great offensive line through and through.
Can we talk about the same injury? Same injury.
The
The foot.
The two
5
of
to
them
12
had the
weeks.
same injury. How's that possible?
Yeah, what's going on?
Yeah, I saw a tweet. It was like a
training
big
staff over there in
This
Indy.
is like the career. This is like career month for like the foot surgeon in Indianapolis. He is going to just take his career to the next level.
Vacation next month. All right, moving on to Aaron Rodgers. Finally, it comes to an end. Aaron Rodgers is going to be a Green Bay Packer this year. Is there much to say? Devontae Adams?
No, nothing. It was always going to be that way.
one.
He's a showman.
Yeah. Devontae
He's a
Adams should be wide receiver
showman.
1. Aaron Jones should be a top 5 running back. I'm going to say it again. Aaron Jones, with Aaron Rodgers definitely there, is a top 5 running back. So I'll say that and leave it there.
I'll give you top 8. I wouldn't call it top 5.
Top
definite,
5.
but
He's been top 5 2 years in a row, and he just lost his biggest competition for touches.
yeah, Saquon and CMC were out last year. I mean, you're putting Saquon, CMC, Dalvin, Kamara. You're easily putting him at 5 at the lowest.
Well, dude, AJ Dillon's only getting 50 carries, so Aaron
we go.
Jones is going to get.
Sucks.
Here we go.
AJ
All
Dillon
right.
sucks.
All right.
So,
And
Aaron
finally,
Rodgers is
one
never going anywhere.
last news to speak about, and not one I mentioned, one that's upsetting to talk about. But the Giants get in a full-on fucking brawl at practice.
fantastic.
What in the world? All right, let's hear from the non-Giants fans first, so then I can change the narrative afterwards. Go ahead.
I know that it's certainly a bad look, an awful look for the team. They clearly are very unconfident in their season ahead of them, but it's a flip side. I mean, I appreciate how much people on those Giants team care. Like, there is a good faction of people who really do care about winning, and I think when you look at it, dude, Daniel Jones is not an NFL quarterback. And he can do the good stuff. His high end does look good. He can hit those deep passes on a dime. He can scramble outside the pocket. But he falls when he's right in front of the fucking end zone on a breakaway because he knows, like, he's not that. He is not this fucking guy. He's going to fumble the ball when the going gets tough because he is not an NFL quarterback. He's not. And
Joey, I'm not
his
even that
high
big
end
of a
is
fan
good.
of Daniel Jones, but your points about why he's not an NFL quarterback are
He's
so
not.
far-fetched that it's not even remotely funny.
The whole
I'm not
team
even a Daniel
knows it
Jones
to the point
truther,
that they'll
but
fight
there's
for
other
it.
reasons that besides him falling down after sprinting for 80
Joey
yards.
lives in
That
Daniel
Don't
is-
Jones'
show me
head.
somebody's highlights. Show me what he's like when he's facing the fucking Redskins in Week 9.
Let's
is
get
fumbling
Josh's
the ball,
2 cents. I've
About
heard
the
enough
fight
of
or
you,
Daniel
Joey.
Jones? Because honestly, I don't
about
give a
the
fuck
fight,
about
not
the
Daniel
fight.
difference?
Jones.
What's the
I don't
difference?
Need, this wasn't a
All
Daniel
about the
Jones
same
hate.
thing.
This is all
I don't
about
really-
the
honestly,
Giants.
I saw the fight and I saw it on Twitter. Everyone's going crazy, and I'm just thinking, I don't give a fuck. I don't care. This happens. They're fucking 23-year-old men testosterone. It's hot. They don't want to be there. Something happened. I don't know. Do you know what happened? Because I don't even know what happened.
It was
They
a
just
late
wanna
hit
fight.
on somebody. Somebody was like took it to the
late hit on Corey Clement,
Corey
and then
Clement.
Evan Ingram retaliated,
Corey
and then it just
Corey
became
Clement.
a thing.
the new third string running back. Don't hit him.
No,
Small
it's
guy.
just a total shit show. Joe, the coaching staff doesn't have the players in order. I mean, this is a totally shit show.
It's a frustration by a quarterback that is being forced in there. You get all these guys
Can I
out
tell you
there
guys- can I tell you
risking
guys
their
something?
life on the field, like getting these hits, and they're gonna play with that fucking quarterback. They're gonna put that
God,
quarterback out
I've-
there and pretend they're gonna win.
I fucking regret giving Joey a platform to talk about his hate for Daniel Jones. Listen. Here's how I see this.
invested in Daniel's rookie card. I could make a
Name
good bit of
me-
money if he has a good career, but he won't.
Name me any good sports movie that doesn't start with that underdog team getting in a brawl and fighting with each other, all right? Remember the Titans, Miracle, Coach Carter, all of these great movies, all right? The teams start off fighting within. That hard coach comes in, which is exactly what Joe Judge is, right? That guy is going to make them run fucking suicides like Coach Carter is going to keep running until they throw up, like Waters for the weak, like fucking Denzel. Listen, Coach
You know
Boone
why they
out
make
there.
those movies?
That's what
It's
Joe.
because they're so rare.
Now he's
because
Coach Herb.
that's-
He's Coach Herb.
No, they make
That's-
those movies because they say,
that's
look, this
what
team
Joe
looked
Judge-
like it was going to be bad, but they persevered and found it within themselves to do it. It doesn't mean that the team that fights is going to win. It means that the team that fought,
They're gonna win.
despite all their
They're going to
adversity,
persevere.
they still
they're going
came.
to get through this adversity. They're going to
There's no
become a
way.
team.
Yeah,
and they're
there's
going
no
to persevere.
way.
There's
Daniel
no way.
Jones, 4 fumbles, game 1.
Dude,
Giants
you're
are
telling me
winning
your,
the NFC
your
East this
quarterback
year.
throws for
I'll put a
11
bet on
touchdowns
that.
on the year. You think that's going to be good enough in the NFL?
Giants
11 touchdowns
win
last year.
The
11
East this year.
touchdown conversation.
Make a
Josh.
bet.
Josh.
You
What?
know why, dude?
It is
Gettleman-
ridiculous.
It's
Tom,
ridiculous.
We give
Gettleman
we
is
give excuses.
digging in
we give
his fucking
excuses to
heels
players
and
we
saying,
love,
"This is my quarterback."
and we don't give any rope to players that we hate. It's ridiculous,
Dude,
okay?
I promise
I saw-
you that my hatred for Daniel Jones does not go as deep as your love for the Giants. I am just looking at what I'm seeing and judging it. And this
I don't
is
even
Dave
hate Daniel
Gettleman.
Jones.
I don't
They
care about
had
Daniel
no
Jones.
weapons
Honestly,
last year. Zero.
I don't care. I
weapons.
see every year on Thanksgiving we see a new Detroit Lion quarterback because Stafford's always hurt, and that guy throws for 4 touchdowns in one game with throwing it to nobodies.
Stafford
and
is
Daniel Jones.
significantly better than Daniel Jones. I'll
No,
defend
I
Daniel
said,
Jones.
I said without when remember that
Oh,
Blau Powell
whoever
game,
whoever
that
the
David
random
Blow
bum
guy.
is that comes in.
Yeah, they always do well, but Daniel
Well,
Jones gets
they
11
always
touchdowns
do
in
well,
one
the
year, bro.
guys-
That's
all right, well,
horrible.
maybe
Can
this
I
one
show you
will
this?
because now they have Kenny
Look at this.
Galladay.
That
Look
was
at this.
extremely loud.
Do you
That was
see this?
extremely loud, Joey.
Do you see this? Yeah,
Yeah, I
well,
see
This is
it's
for
that Daniel
everybody
Jones
listening on the
rookie card
podcast.
in like first graded Gem Mint 10.
What is that? 9.8?
I don't know. 2019 Panini. I got talked into buying a good card, and I
You
thought
didn't get.
I thought the
Did you get it
Gi-
graded though? Is it graded 9.8 or something? Like, dude, you gotta be 9.7 or
first
it's
graded.
worthless.
I don't know. Well, we're not
buy
gonna get
it
into this,
off
but
you,
I'm
Joey.
saying I'm invested in Daniel Jones. Like I like Daniel Jones.
He's
I have a
literally
bias that he
invested.
would be good, but to be honest, he's fucking not. And this is a sunk cost unless it goes
All
so
right.
bad that it becomes like how people watch Napoleon Dynamite now or something. Like almost
And
like
hold on,
disaster artist type thing.
let's not think that Evan Ingram and Darius Slayton couldn't catch more than 11 touchdowns last year.
Evan
together.
Ingram couldn't catch at all.
Exactly.
He dropped
He could
every
not
fucking
catch.
pass that came to him. He would get hit right in the hands and drop it. Trust me. The guy could not catch shit. Slayton is a decent receiver, but he is not a wide receiver one. He is not. He can't handle that. He's not handling the top corners and beating people. Come on, Josh.
Okay, last one more question before we move on. Jared Goff, obviously we all know he's a shit show in Detroit. Is he going to throw more than 11 touchdowns with
100%.
with that cast of clowns?
Probably.
Okay.
If you brought
He's
Nick
also-
Foles
he's also
on
gonna
to
have-
start for the Giants, would he? Yes.
Oh, he's going to have
He's-
Bo Cephas.
He's also going to have a worse defense and have to throw probably more than Daniel Jones did last year and probably going to not have 13
Daniel
rushing
Jones'
touchdowns.
11 touchdown passes are a product of how good his defense is.
I'm just saying
that really just shows you
saying,
how good the Giants' defense was last year.
I'm just saying that they had 13 rushing touchdowns. Like I don't think the Lions will have 13 rushing touchdowns this year. So no, I do think it's
between Jamal Williams and Swift. Come on, man.
I don't think they will.
That's a good number. 13, 14.
Give them 10.
Okay. All right.
All right. Let's get rolling into our false narratives. So we are discussing fantasy narratives out there that either other analysts seem to be hyping up and giving like crazy, or just every fan that you talk to or everybody you play with seems to be hopping on that bandwagon. Things that we disagree with. And we're going to give our reason why we disagree with these and what our thought process is here. I have one for you. Joey's got one, and Josh has one, and Alex has that whatever pain.
Alex is gone.
Yeah,
He
this is
disappeared.
absent
He literally just left the podcast. I don't even know what he's doing.
Wait,
he's
do you
in
have
pain, guys.
do you have
He's in pain.
decor in your house that just says beach?
He's at the shore house.
No, it says
The shore house?
It says beach, and then
Beach?
underneath it
At the
says
beach?
Beach Haven West.
Oh, okay.
I just
thought
told
it was
everyone where I live.
Put up a big sign that says beach.
Yeah, because all of our podcast listeners are now going to be like, "Oh my God, let's go to Beach Haven West and find
I have
Alex."
stalkers, bro.
Yeah. Like, you just doxed yourself, bro.
Do you guys want me to start? You want me to give mine first?
Yeah,
go
I
ahead.
think, honestly,
All
I
right.
think for the sake of the podcast, I think it would be best if we go you, Josh, me, because
Then for the sake of the
the most.
podcast, I'll do it, Joey. For the sake of the podcast, only. All
this
right.
is our fucking baby.
All right, I am recycling a post I just did on Instagram a week or two ago. So if you saw it on Instagram, you're hearing it again, but it'll be better
Hey,
coming from
don't need to apologize.
my
Don't even
sweet,
say
sweet
that.
voice. I'm not apologizing.
Just-
I said you'll be
all right.
hearing it again. I was just stating a fact. There's no apology in there.
Yeah, suck it up,
whatsoever.
guys. Listen
enjoy
again,
it.
dicks.
Listen and enjoy. So here's the narrative that I disagree with. I'm seeing over and over and over again different Instagram accounts, different reporters, whatever it might be, tweeting out, writing, everything, for people to expect big things from the Cowboys players as a whole with Dak getting back. Not just for them to improve, but for them to potentially be elite. People are talking about Amari potentially being a wide receiver 1 overall dark horse. And they're talking about him definitely being a wide receiver 1 in general, top 12 wide receiver. They're talking about Zeke coming back to RB1 overall, and him definitely being a top 5 running back. And I just do not agree with it whatsoever. So the reason people keep hyping up these guys is because of the performance that they had during the few games that Dak played in last year. In that 4-game window, Amari was wide receiver 1 overall and Zeke was RB4 overall. So when you hear that and you have an analyst tell you that, and now you know Dak's coming back and you don't have any context behind it, then you think, okay, that's what their potential is. That's what these guys are going to do because they did it with their QB last year. So with their QB coming back, it's going to happen. But that's really fucking lazy analysis, and it pisses me off to hear everybody saying it because you need to look deeper. During that 4-game window, 3 of those games were absolute fucking shootouts. Absolute shootouts. The Cowboys played the 32nd, the 30th, and the 27th ranked passing defenses in the league. And all those teams not only had horrible defenses, but they were high-powered offenses. It was the Falcons, the Seahawks, and the Browns. So it ended up being total shootouts in those 3 games. Guys, did you guys see the Instagram post I did with these stats? Did all of you see it and actually
Yeah, but read them to us.
I know, but I'm just curious. Josh,
No,
did you
I
see
didn't.
it? Yeah? No? Okay. All right.
I'm on Twitter late. I'm on
here
Twitter
to
more.
listen
often.
now.
Listen. I actually want you guys to listen to this because this is to show everybody how fucking unbelievable those games were, and it wasn't going to continue. In those games, Dak averaged 54 pass attempts per game. The Steelers ended up leading the league by the end of the season with 42.6. So 12 more fucking pass attempts per game than the league leaders. Dallas as a whole averaged 42 points per game. The Packers ended up leading the league with 31.5, so 11 more points than the league leaders. Zeke averaged 8.7 targets per game. Kamara ended up leading the league with 7.1. and Amari averaged 12.3 targets per game. That's 197 target pace for the entire season. There's only ever been 3 wide receivers in the NFL to have more than 195 targets, and that's the pace Amari was on during that time frame. And Devontae ended up leading the league with 10.6. Every single one of the stats that I just said had the Cowboys 3-game stretch on a pace for record-setting fucking numbers. So if you're going to look at that little window and say that's what these guys are going to do over an entire season when they come back, you're on absolute fucking drugs. Like, it's just not happening.
Why?
So, go ahead.
Why do you think the pace is going to lower though? The Cowboys
Because,
are running
no, Joey,
and gunning.
did you
They're
listen to
moving
what I
as
said?
fast as shit. Yeah. But like
So let me give you an example. Let me give you an example, all right? Everybody on Earth, all right, there's very few of us who are in my category here, but everybody else on Earth is shitting on David Montgomery and saying he's not as good as everybody says because it was only over a 6-game stretch where he played the worst defenses in the NFL. That's fair. I get it. That is a fair argument. But you have to look at the same thing for the Cowboys then. That 3-game stretch, we're talking about 4 games that Dak played in. In 3 of them, he played a bottom 5 fucking defense. In 3 of them, he set record numbers for paces for shootouts in the NFL and pass attempts and shit like that. He is not doing that over an entire season. That was just the game flow of those 3 games.
I still think he was. I mean, if you look at the stats for the Cowboys as a whole, dude, even when he got injured, dude, they have the most pass plays per game by like 8 or 9, like the second place. And it's just
they were
not only is it how
passing
fast
like crazy,
they play,
but
it's they pass like crazy. There are
they
so
pass
many
like crazy.
targets to go around.
Joey, they pass like crazy, and you just said one thing, so there's 2 pieces to that. One, how fast they play. It didn't work. They need to know that. They understand that. They don't want to play at that pace and have their defense constantly on their heels.
It worked.
No, their defense. No, their defense wasn't constantly on their heels. Their defense
Guys,
sucked.
as a team, they're not just looking at one piece of the game, right? So as a team, how fast they played had their shitty defense coming back on the field right away and getting torched right away. They want to control the game more and still be just as great of an offense and score every time if they have the ball, but it doesn't mean they have to do it in 10 seconds and give the ball right back to the other team against their defense. Number 2, on that note, their defense got significantly better. They drafted arguably the best defender in this draft with Micah Parsons, and they spent I forget what the number is, but 6 picks in the first 4 rounds, something like that, maybe more, all on defensive players. They're going to be a better team this year on defense. They're not going to be always playing a bottom 5 defense. It's just not going to be a shootout every single game. Now, is it going to still be a high-paced offense? Is it going to be one of the higher pass attempts in the league? Sure. I'm not saying it's going to drop to the fucking bottom. I'm just saying it's not going to be record-setting. It's going to be even potentially the highest in the league. But the highest in the league last year is 10 less per game for pass attempts.
I'm so blown right now. I gotta slow this down.
Go ahead, Josh.
What's your false narrative again? I'm so confused.
They're
just not going to be good?
The false
Because no one's got
narrative.
Dak ranked 1. No one's got Cooper ranked 1. No one's got Lamb ranked 1. No one's got Zeke ranked 1.
Top 10 potential in all of them.
Josh, it's
Yeah.
not a
So what-
not a literal of where their ADPs are or anything like that right now, but there are plenty of analysts right now. If you go on Instagram, you go on Twitter, whatever it might be, there's plenty of people hyping these guys up and saying they should be higher than their ADPs because of this. And I'm trying to say, no, they shouldn't. Zeke is already RB7 for ADP, which is it's too high for me. I would not be taking Zeke there. That's in front of Aaron Jones. It's in front of Najee. I mean, Najee I would take him in front of, but it's in front of a lot of different players. I like Joe Mixon more this year. But
Name another player. You just named one.
Eckler.
Okay.
I'll take Eckler. All day over him.
Gotcha.
All
okay,
day.
that's 3. That's fine. I'll take it. But oh
All
my
right,
god,
is that okay? Is that
you're
enough
gonna
for
go
you?
into this hole and just all these other people.
And just some people, No, but
I just
seriously,
disagree with you.
Zeke is too high for me, and Amari's right where he should be. He's wide receiver 16.
I think
I don't like anybody
Amari
behind
is,
him much
is
more.
undervalued as just a name. I think everybody's hated on Amari, and he's so
wide
much
receiver
better
16
than
right
he
now,
gets
Joey.
credit
It's
for.
right where he should be. Like who's going in front
Where's
of
Lamb
Amari
going?
that you would rather have?
Where's
Somebody
Lamb
echoing?
going?
Oh, you said Lamb. Lamb is going wide receiver 12. which is kind of
I like
high.
that.
I'll give.
That's
so he's got the
ridiculous.
same
I mean,
thing.
why would
That's
Lamb
high.
go above Amari? Again,
Bro,
redraft. I mean, I could see it
Lamb-
happening.
I
but
like
in
Lamb more.
The way that I play, like, I would never go Lamb over Amari. I mean, Amari is like, he was better than Lamb coming out of college. He's done so much in his career. He's had some ups and downs for sure. But like, dude, I love Amari. I think everybody is just completely undervaluing him.
I disagree.
I think
he's right
Lamb
where he should be.
by far over
It's
Cooper.
crazy that
Yeah, Lamb
Julio
by
is
far
still
over
ranked
Cooper.
above Amari Cooper. Julio, the second option
so
on
Joe,
one of the
there's-
least
there might
pass-happy teams
There
is
might be a
in
couple
front
guys.
of him.
Oh,
on a
that's
new
my next
team.
false narrative, Joey. I can't wait to take that narrative about being a.
I'd
not being a
take
pass-happy
Amari
team
over
and fucking destroy
Julio.
it.
I'd take Amari over Chris Godwin. I'd take Amari over
No.
CeeDee Lamb, Evans.
Well, Godwin's behind him, but
McLaurin.
I would take Godwin over him. You would take
Yeah,
Amari
Amari-
over McLaurin? Get the fuck out of here.
Absolutely. I would take
No.
the
I'd
number one
I would.
option on the most pass-happy team in the league versus
talking
this
redraft.
guy
He's not definitely the number one option. CeeDee Lamb is
Why
a
is he
better
not?
receiver.
Okay, until I see it, he is.
I saw it. All
No,
last
whether
year.
you even if you believe CD is going to be better this year, he could end up being Amari's still the number one option. He's the wide receiver one on that team. That's a fact.
Sure, you can say that, but we'll see. I
It's a
think
fact
Lamb
until
ends
it's not.
with
And
more
this year
I
it might not.
suppose we will see. I suppose we
shall.
will.
Let's
Would you have
get
said
into
Thielen's
Josh's.
the number one target? Hold on. Would you say Thielen's the number one target over in Minnesota?
Not
No,
anymore.
It was last year. Well,
Yeah,
it was
thank
last
you.
year though, wasn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah,
Shit
Joe.
happens. Things
Yeah, but
change.
Thielen ended it as a wide receiver
Shit
top
changes.
10. Like Thielen ended as like a top 10 wide receiver in PPR last year.
Okay, but you're not trying to just say that. You're just saying yes, Amari could still do well, but
Well,
he
I
might
mean,
be
if you're an
the second
example
option.
to shut it down is that, I'll tell you, he still ended as a top 10 wide receiver in PPR.
Okay,
It's
but
like,
now you're just
dude,
comparing apples
you
and
got
oranges. It's not. You're talking about two
yeah,
different
but
players.
like, okay,
It's just,
so
we're talking about on a single
say
team.
CeeDee Lamb is better than him, and then they're still passing it 43 times a game, and you'd expect it to be passing more because now you don't have DiNucci in there. So say we're passing 45 times a game, and CeeDee Lamb, I'll give him 15 of those. You think Jarwin?
We're just
Zeke,
gonna assume the team
mean, there's
is
10
passing 3 more than the league leader last year per game.
We are, because that is a Mike McCarthy thing. That's always been how Mike McCarthy runs his
Come on,
offenses.
dude, 45 pass attempts per game is fucking absurd, Joey. It's absolutely
yeah.
absurd.
Pretty wild.
It's not, because it's the way
It's
they play.
a lot, Joey. It's a lot. It's saying
It's a
40 would
lot.
be a lot. Like, there's a chance that you got to understand. There's a chance, very realistic, and it wouldn't be very few pass attempts that they drop down to 32, 35.
I
It
think
wouldn't
it's
be
more
like,
real
Whoa,
oh my
because
God,
not
they're
that low. Not
passing.
that low.
No.
35
They're gonna
is
go to, like,
possible.
38.
35 is 100%
38.
possible.
Oh, okay. Mike McCarthy's
Yeah.
going to change the
38.
entire way he coaches
Three.
football for the past 15 years.
38. What's wrong with
He's-
38 a
He
game? That's
better,
pretty good.
Joey. He better if he wants to keep a
38.
job.
I mean, if it's 38, it's detrimental, but I don't think he's going to drop to 38. I think they're going to stay well above 40.
Why would you though? If you
it's
have the
crazy.
lead and you have Zeke, one of the best running backs in the league.
Because that's
Look,
just
And,
the way
and
they
you have,
play.
and
They
you have one of the
pass on
better
third
backups
down.
in the league.
They
Tony Pollard
pass
as well.
often.
Listen, I'm not saying they're not going to pass often. I'm saying last year's league leader who passed not more often, but a fuck ton, were the Steelers with 42. So to say it's easily over 42, it just doesn't make sense, Joey. Like, I just feel like you're acting like it's not a lot when it's a shit ton. Like 38 is still a good amount of pass attempts per game.
I think I got Amari in my top 10. Love him. Literally, I love him.
I disagree wholeheartedly with you so much.
Love him.
Can we make a? I know. Let's just make a bet just for the fuck of it. I don't even care.
Like
what
call
money,
it, yeah, we'll call
$1
it
million.
12 and a half.
Amari
12
is
and a
not
half
ending
for,
top 10.
for 2 million, 2.5.
Deal. Done.
Okay.
Deal.
All right. Josh, I want to hear your false narrative,
Oh
my
my
friend.
gosh. All right, I didn't do as much research as you did, but I got some stuff.
Let's
Mine
hear it.
is simple, very simple. A lot of people are jumping on DK Metcalf this year, as they should, because he's a monster. He's not going to finish top 10 this year, guys. There's no way in hell. Last year, he finished, fifth, I think, I want to say. DK right now is going fifth off the board wide receiver-wise. Overall, 19. That's crazy in full point PPR. There's so many other receivers and so many other running backs I'd rather have. In 2019, that DK was a wide receiver 33 overall. His rookie year, 177 points. Right, he had 900 yards, 7 touchdowns, 58 catches. 2020 last year, he went crazy. 270 fantasy points, finished as a wide receiver 6. Why would he drop out? I don't know. Why did Michael Thomas drop out? Why did Chris Godwin drop out? Why did 12 of the receivers of the top 20 drop out last year? Because the wide receiver shit goes crazy every single year. You have Jamar Chase coming into the league. You have Cortland Sutton coming back. You have, well, not Michael Thomas coming back anymore, but you have all these influx of receivers coming in. Some have to drop. And on a team like the Seattle Seahawks that love to run the football, that Pete Carroll said, we have to run the ball. We love Chris Carson. We signed Chris Carson back. He's our Marshawn Lynch now. He brings that identity to our team. They're going to run the ball a lot more this year, which means less targets for DK Metcalf. I expect that target share to go down about to 112, 115 instead of the 140 he had last year. Insane. So that's pretty much all I have. I have a little bit more. Tyler Lockett's still there. I know you guys hate Tyler Lockett. I know you hate Tyler Lockett. I know Dave over at my podcast hates him. Everyone hates Tyler Lockett. But the dude had 100 catches last year. He's not going anywhere. He's also the number one.
I'm with you on all this.
Yeah, I mean, it's just...
This is going to be like one of the few times that I think we're all... I mean, maybe not Alex. We'll see. But, Josh, you and I rarely agree. Joey and I like to disagree all the time. I'm 100% on board. Although, I just want to say one thing.
I think we're usually on the same page.
We're not predicting an injury. I just want to say that because you said, why did Michael Thomas fall out? Why did Chris Godwin fall out?
Yeah, injury.
Well, they fell out because of injuries. But yes, there can be a
hold
wide
on, Julian Edelman,
shuffle.
DJ Moore, Devontae Parker, Jarvis Landry, John Brown, DJ Chark.
Receivers.
These are all guys that just fell out because a team went a different direction or something just happened.
I can't believe he's going off. I didn't even see that he for this year for redraft. He's going wide receiver 5.
6.
Like I
think
he's
it's
going there
perfectly justified. Perfectly
justified,
honestly.
Alex.
Yes,
What?
Absolutely.
All right, let Alex
So
talk
even-
for 5
here's the
seconds,
thing.
and then we each get an equal minute of destroying him. Go, Alex.
Here's the thing about DK Metcalf. I agree with Josh that maybe his targets goes down from it was 130 last year.
Oh, 130? Okay.
Yeah, maybe to 115, 112. But his catch percentage is low. He only had 83 receptions, which off 130 targets isn't incredible. So even if his targets go down a little bit, I expect him to catch more balls. He also only had 1 touchdown catch in the last 6 weeks, which he ended wide receiver 5 even with only that 1 touchdown catch, which apparently his game is supposed to be predicated off of long balls and touchdowns like that. So I think he can do a lot more than people think he can do in terms of getting yards on his own. And I think he's going to get more touchdowns than he did last year. 10 isn't insane. 83 receptions isn't insane. His numbers have a lot of room to go up, and I think they will go up, honestly. I think he's in for progression this year, not regression.
Alex, I want you to go on record and answer this question really quick. On record. You would take, just say yes or no, one by one. You would take DK Metcalf over these wide receivers. Calvin Ridley.
This year?
Just this year.
Redraft. Yes.
Justin Jefferson.
Wait, you take DK? Wait, hold on. You took DK over Calvin?
Over Calvin
I would
Ridley
take Justin
this
Jefferson.
year. Doesn't make
I would
any
take Justin
sense.
Jefferson over him.
Okay, so there's one
makes plenty of
more
sense.
guy who should be in front of him. AJ Brown.
Not this year.
Come on.
I've talked
Keenan
about
Allen.
AJ Brown plenty of times before. No, I'd probably still stick with DK.
Allen Robinson.
No, DK.
Dude, come on. All of these guys.
Dude,
Bro, I'm telling you.
we saw
I'm telling
Keenan
you.
Allen get 16 targets in multiple games last year. What are you talking about?
It doesn't matter. Now you have Eckler coming back, who's gonna take some targets away. They drafted receivers, one who I'm really high on. I love Josh Palmer. Do I think he's gonna be crazy involved in the offense? No, but they got more guys now, and Herbert's in his second year. They're gonna change the offense up a little bit. They have a new head coach. Like you can't say he's gonna get 16 targets over and over again. And he's old, and he's injury prone, like we know. So I'm taking DK over him.
I think Robert Woods outscores DK this year. I'm gonna hop
that's
onto
crazy.
Josh's thing.
Oh my
Robert
gosh.
Woods outscores
That's crazy.
DK.
Oh my god!
You're not hopping onto
You
Josh's
just
thing.
destroyed
Josh
your
doesn't agree with you.
entire
So.
I don't agree with Robert Woods over him.
I think
I don't agree with Robert
Alex made some
Woods.
points there.
Talk to me at
I
the
think
end of
Alex
the
made
season.
I think Alex made some pretty good points there with like the expected increase in catch rate. But I mean, it's at the end of the day, dude. He's just so inconsistent. Maybe he will be consistent. Maybe like that's what he improves upon is being more consistent.
I posted that graph in our group chat, and I was DK Metcalf up and down, up and down, up and down.
2.8 days, like some days where he just lost you some games. Like there's a lot of games that he's gonna lose you based on where you need to draft him.
When he plays Ramsey twice a year, he can't get open.
Yeah. But I mean, he could be great. Like, I mean, there's going to be those Calvin Ridley days. I mean, Calvin Ridley had a 0 in the game too. So it's like, once you get past that, like that's that second tier to me. And there's like there's just those. Honestly, I think AJ Brown is in the first tier wide receivers. He's like well above
the offense. The offense goes with Russ Wilson. Like, so weeks 1 through 9, he was wide receiver 2, 21 points a game. Weeks 10 through 16, wide receiver 17, 14 points a game.
Yeah,
and that's when Russell Wilson fell off, and that's when Chris Carson was gone. And
he's like a victim of that Seattle Russell wants to throw, Pete Carroll wants to run, and they're like constantly batting heads, and DK is really like the victim of that whole thing. So I don't know. I mean,
we're talking Dak getting 38 attempts a game, and that's what Russell Wilson did last year. 38 attempts a game for Russell Wilson. Marco's saying Dak won't even do that. So we're expecting Russell Wilson to do that again?
I don't think Russell will do that again. I completely agree, Josh. I think it's going to go down. People need to be prepared for that. All right.
Can't believe we all agree on mine.
Yeah, everybody kind of agreed except Alex. Nobody really cares about his opinion, so... Joey?
My false narrative is that everybody who says that 0 RB strategy is a way to lose. And to be honest, I mean, like, I'm not going to sell you go into a draft saying I'm going to do 0 RB. But there is like a mindset switch to like the 0 RB that opens up a lot of value for you when you're at the draft. So like if you're drafting towards the back half or the second half of the draft, you can start focusing your efforts on getting those wide receivers and the tight ends that are going to win you those matchups and shoring up that, because at the end of the day, like, the running back is the most injured position just by the nature of the hits, the quantity and the volume of the hits, like it's, and then just how hard they are because it's like right at direct impact with a lot of other bodies around you. So like there's just more injuries that come along with that. There's a lot of wide receivers out there and there's not as many running backs, but at the same time, there are a lot of running backs out there that can get you good weeks and play the matchup. So it's just, in my opinion, it's like I would much rather, like if I'm towards the later end of the draft and I'm missing out on the Kamaras and the CMCs and the Dalvins, and I'm just kind of pulling for other running backs that position, like I'm probably going to go Tyreek, Devontae, maybe look for like a tight end in the 3rd round, and then start gobbling up running backs from like round 5 on. And what I'm going to be looking for
There's no one to gobble up at that point, Jay.
What are you talking about? There's like, okay, so Mike
Davis. Who's going to be your RB1? Melvin Gordon in the 5th round?
I had Gaskin as my RB1 last year. I made the semis. You got Mike Davis, Mostert. I like James Robinson. I like David Johnson.
These are shot in the darks.
These are
shot in the darks that you're really hoping that are going to fucking pay off. And if they don't, then you're fucked.
Yeah, but
whereas if you go running back early, then sorry not to cut you off again, but these wide receivers, there's much more that fall late.
Okay, so
what
happens if
you
don't get CMC, Kamara, Dalvin, or whatever? Who the fuck else is there? CMC,
Henry.
Dalvin, Saquon, Henry.
I mean, there's so many guys
Chubb.
in the top 12, though, but they're all going to be gone.
Okay.
And once you get past that RB2, 24th
and then what
running
happens?
back,
No, it's like top 6, top 7, and then once you get past that, you're starting to look at other like positions like that. So that's when I would just go totally that, because I mean, like you take a chance on Jonathan Taylor last year, whether or not he ends like at the top 10 running back, you did not make the playoffs probably if you took Jonathan Taylor where you needed to, because he was putting up like single digits, getting 6 touches, 7 touches a game for the first 10 weeks. Like, it's just all over the place with these running backs, especially if you're taking the rookies, too. Like, if you start leaning on rookie running backs, that's a chance in and of itself. You got a lot of value in wide receivers in those early rounds if you zig when everybody else zags.
Yeah, I'll say this. So, I agree and I disagree to an extent, Joey. First off, I've done a good amount of drafts already this season, and what I've seen is where those third, fourth, fifth round running backs go, I can't stomach taking those running backs and compared to the wide receivers who are on the board, compared to maybe a QB or tight end, whatever it might be. Like, those running backs are being reached on because of how quickly the running back position is going away. But I'm a best player available type guy, and if there is somebody who makes that big of a difference, like Davante Adams should be taken after like the top 4 or 5 running backs. He absolutely should be, because the difference that Davante Adams can give you at potentially scoring 27 points per game versus the next wide receiver is way better than if you took Nick Chubb versus Myles Gaskin. Like that's not going to be that big of a gap compared to what Adams can give.
I disagree.
Dude, Adams can give you a 10-point gap compared to
I'd rather have Chubb and Sutton or Judy, one of those two guys who's going around Mike Davis, than Mike Davis and Davante Adams.
Alex, theoretically you say that, but the difference between Chubb and Mike Davis is not going to be 10 points. The difference between Adams and one of those receivers absolutely can be 10, if not more.
The high end of wide receivers, especially in PPR, is higher. Like if you're talking about top 5, what is their highest weeks? That's probably a higher number than the top 5 running backs' highest weeks. Like, it's very rare to get a running back scoring in the 40s, but you can get him in the 20s consistently. So you're just looking for consistency in that running back and high-end production in the wide receivers if you go 0 RB.
What do you do if you get a top 4 pick with a 0 RB strategy? You just grab CMC,
no, you don't
Saquon.
do a 0 RB strategy if you're.
But you grab you grab that one top guy, then you just go all receivers.
Oh,
and say,
I would
I'll
do
get
that
a
anyway.
second.
Yeah, that's generally what I do because once I'm kind of weighing between like Eckler and Kareem Hunt 2 rounds later, it's like, to me, it's like I could probably get a good deal out of Eckler, but like I could get a good deal out of Kareem Hunt too 2 rounds later. James Robinson could take that fucking job, or like he could lose the job. Austin Eckler could lose the job. I mean, Austin Eckler could get hurt again. It's just like it's a crazy position to me to invest all that in, especially if you're not getting
if you're a pick.
No, I just wanted to highlight something real quick. So the difference between Adams had 10 points or more than the wide receiver 15 on. So you had to be in the top 14 to score to have less than a 10-point gap between you and Davante Adams. Like that's how valuable he is compared to a running back. Like if you look at the running backs, so like Alex, let's take a Chubb for instance. Chubb had 17 points. 17 points.
Davante Adams had 18 touchdowns last year, by the way. He's not going to touch that again. So
you don't know that?
No, I know that.
And I'm not saying it's going to be. Listen, I'm not saying it's going to be a 10-point gap again. But I'm telling you right now, if Chubb scores even 20 points, right? If he was scoring, he had 17 points per game last year. If he scored 20 points per game, you don't get to a running back scoring under 10 points per game and having a 10-point gap until like I'm pulling up right now, RB 38. RB 38 is the first running back to have less than 10 points per game. So
how about this?
It's difficult to get the same type of gap.
Instead of using Davante Adams to do this comparison, why don't you do the second wide receiver? That should be fair too, right? I mean, it's the second overall wide receiver.
No, because
which
you're
is
not
Tyreek Hill, who averaged 5 less points than Davante Adams. So now this whole 10-point per game difference isn't as big as you're making.
You're not
it.
listening.
You used a guy who had record-setting numbers. Like
my false narrative isn't that 0 RB is the way to go. It's that it's not just a general losing strategy. It's like people who go 0 RB are guaranteed to lose their season. There's a million different ways you can slice 0 RB. 0 RB is a mindset. It's not a strategy.
Yeah, Alex, I specifically said I don't agree with the strategy unless it's the right person, like Davante Adams. I said if you're going to get Davante Adams, and other than that, the only running backs I'd take, there's probably 4 or 5 running backs I would take over Davante Adams. But other than that, it should be him. Now that we know Rodgers is there, 100%.
I generally think 0 RB is for the skilled players. I really do like they pay attention to the waiver wire. They're making trades. Because if you're going 0 RB and you have no idea what you're doing, you're going to be screwed because you don't know who the handcuffs are. You don't know who to pick up. You don't know who has the hot hand. Like when I drove Boston Scott to my championship, it has to be. Like I'm starting Boston Scott like 2 years ago going to the championship game because I had no running backs, but I went 0 RB like an idiot, and it worked out.
And it gets you to the
you got to find those guys.
You get the solid production week after week. You don't have to start the Tyler Boyds, who are going to get you like a 5 or a 6 every now and then. You can start DeAndre Hopkins and Devontae Adams and go 27-20.
Dude, but then you're starting a Mike Davis or a Raheem Mostert who's going to get you an 8 or 9.
You get
Yeah, but
a
those-
lot of
grab-
weeks.
You
A
end
lot
up
of
with
weeks.
10 running backs and you play the matchups.
floor
and
is
usually,
higher.
If you're good
No,
enough,
Dude.
you're not even ending up with 10 running backs. You're 10
If
If
running
you
you're
get
backs.
Hopkins and
looking at how
Tyreek,
not
you're
to
starting the week
lose.
off with 50 points. You're starting
te-
the week off with 50 points, bro. If you start Tyreek and Hopkins, and you can fill in the 10-point here, maybe your guy will score a touchdown. You get 16.
Okay, you can start off the week with 40 points with 2 running backs like Chubb and Henry or something like that.
And then you got to find the guy that gets the
your
targets.
No, your wide receivers aren't going to average that much less than the
you're
running.
just
They would
saying-
average
you're just
more than
saying
like
that
a
in
Mike
general.
Davis. No, like Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy are going to average more than like Mike Davis or Raheem Mostert are going to do.
But they're not
When
gonna get quality
Bridgewater
targets.
support 2 wide receiver 1-2s. Like Teddy Bridgewater is not going to throw enough, and their offense isn't going to throw enough. That's like a team.
Okay,
of
I'm just
9.
using
doesn't
that as an
matter.
example.
Alex-
You could do
Alex is
DJ
using
Chark,
two
you could do
receivers-
Brandon
two
Ayuk.
receivers who are going significantly higher in. You can't use that comparison, Alex. You're literally using a running back and like a first round running back and a fourth round wide receiver versus a first round wide receiver and an 8th round running back. Like that's not the comparison.
They're not 8th round
that you
running backs.
make.
I'm looking at rankings right now. It's literally Mike Davis and then Cortland Sutton right in front of him, and then DJ
Those two are
Chark right
going
after
right
him.
next to each
Like,
other.
Oh, this is
In
what
ADP?
this says on Fantasy Pros. Yeah,
ADP. I'm shocked if that's the case. They should not be going. That's
We might be
insulting.
in the weeds here.
We might be too deep in the weeds.
Cortland
here.
Sutton's
what are
at
you looking at?
60 and Mike Davis at
Listen,
63 on what
I'll-
I'm looking at. So anyway,
I'll just say this: the whole point that Joey's trying to make is the same thing that I said on our last recording when we were going over our draft, and
whole point
it
I'm
was a
trying to
super
make,
flex. Yeah, I'm
presented
gonna
by
make it for
Marco.
you, Joey. Don't worry. I'll deliver. I'll drive it home for you. I made it on the last one. We had a super flex dynasty draft, and I planned to take quarterbacks in the first 2 rounds, and it's just not how the draft fell. And I ended up with a great team because I got later round QBs because everybody already had stacked their QBs. The whole point is just let the draft come to you. Don't go in with a mindset of what you have to do because it's just not the case ever.
100%.
See?
That's my
I
biggest advice
drove it
to
home.
everyone who asks. Just let it come to you.
Amen.
That said, if you're going to do the 0 RB, look for RBs that are on good offenses with pass catching and rushing upside, or handcuffs that are clear handcuffs that will take over the backfield if and when an injury occurs.
Look for running
Look for
backs who
Nyheim
are
Hines.
going to score
Nyheim
fantasy
Hines.
points.
Yeah, no, Nyheim Hines is a great
Great advice.
example, though.
Nyheim Hines
but I
is
would
a great
lean
example.
Nyheim
I think
Hines
somebody
over.
thought about that last year.
Yeah,
In my home league with Davey, Naeem Hines finished 12th
Wow.
at running back because we do
Well,
return yards.
he's 16 in a normal PPR. Like that's high. And
Yeah, and he finished-
We
he
talked about
finished
that on
12th,
the
yeah.
last.
You do
on the last
return
episode,
yards.
Yeah, we do return yards.
That's probably why
Davies
you
league's
guys
fucking
like
stupid.
love
That's a terrible
like Darnell Mooney. Wasn't he doing
We love
punts?
Darnell Mooney.
Yeah. We're about.
That's
hitting
why we
an
love
hour here.
CDs.
Should we wrap it up?
Yeah,
Yeah, probably. We're having fun, but
maybe.
Yeah.
all good things must come to an end. I think so.
When's this coming out? Like in 3 weeks? When can I promote
Josh,
it?
You are so funny, my friend. Joey, what do we got next week?
Next week, we're going to dig into a little bit more on Alex's golf and the whole hobby thing. I would just be interested in kind of why he thought he needed a new hobby and then the other hobbies
Why did he
was
really
considering.
pick up golf? And what is he
What
hiding?
other hobbies did he say no to when he decided that golf was the hobby he was going to select? How did he
What
come
was
up
the
with those
evaluation
four?
process?
We'll find out. Yeah.
find out next time.
Next
Find
week
out next
on
week.
the Fantasy Feud.